I was beat up a couple of times, ended up in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, this is in New York. I mean, it was pretty rough. I actually worked with a group of girls that were sexually abused.
Wow.
And this all came about through my workshops.
Mm-hmm.
And they became so empowered because number one, they realized they weren't alone. And they were
Yes.
able to share their story with each other. I had some terrible things happen when I was young, too.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really what motivated me to help children feel safe.
Today on Women in the Making, we are honored to have a truly inspiring guest, Cathi Rodgveller. Cathy is the visionary founder of Ignite Worldwide, an organization dedicated to empowering young girls to pursue careers in STEM. Through her work, Cathy has not only opened doors for countless young women, but has also challenged the status quo in industries traditionally dominated by men. Cathy's story isn't just about accolades, it's about passion, resilience, and a relentless drive to make a difference. Today, we'll dive deep into her journey, explore the challenges she's faced, and uncover the personal stories that have shaped her mission to change the world for girls everywhere. Please join me in welcoming Cathi Rodgveller to the podcast. Cathy, welcome to Women in the Making.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. And we are honored to have you as our guest for season 3.
Thank you.
Your journey is so mesmerizing, so inspiring. And I'm so fortunate that today you are with us at Women in the Making to share this beautiful journey. And I'm sure it's going to inspire so many young women and girls that are already so proud of what you have created for them.
Thank you.
You started your journey in East Harlem, New York.
I did.
What was the most transformative moment that shaped your decision to fight for gender equity?
Yes, thank you for asking. I began as a school teacher in East Harlem, and I fell in love with the kids, being with the kids every day. And I was in a very special program to learn about open education, which focuses on teaching children through their passions.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was so inspiring to be involved in a special project that was about education reform, changing education to meet the needs of the child, and not having a teacher stand in front of the room and children sitting at their desk all day. So it really inspired me to get into the world of education, and that was my beginning.
That's incredible. It's such a warm story to begin with because we hear from teachers, we hear from counselors, but to find something that you're really passionate about and you
Yeah.
love is not always somebody has the courage to move forward with.
Yeah.
When you first began hosting workshop for girls on sexual harassment, what was the hardest story you heard and how did it impact you? How did it change you? What did you really wanted to do at that moment?
Yeah. Well, we're fast forwarding a bit. I became a school counselor soon after I started teaching. I started working in a homeless youth shelter. I volunteered at a crisis hotline. It helped me understand that listening to people's stories was very powerful.
It was.
And that's really what headed me in the direction of wanting to be a school counselor. When I became a school counselor, I took a very special position at a school that was also about education reform. And it allowed me to try new, exciting opportunities for kids that would change the trajectory of their lives. And so I had to look inward and make sure that I was sending the right messages. Like, messages was I sending? In middle school, I had some very difficult things happen. We moved around a lot. I was beat up a couple of times. Ended up in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, this is in New York. I mean, it was pretty rough. And
Was it because of the neighborhood, or it was just that they were targeting
yeah,
you?
no, it was a rough. I moved back from Arizona. I was still playing with dolls, and I ended up in an environment where the girls were not playing with dolls. They were they were very advanced, and I didn't understand the culture, and so I had to figure out how I was going to fit in. But that time was very traumatic, and it helped me understand that if I could fix something for the kids in middle school, especially, if I could make their experience better than I had. So I started working with the kids that hadn't experienced success in this school. And that was my job. My job was to help them transform their experience in education. Like, they hated being in school.
Yeah.
They hated, everything about it. And so my job was like, how was I going to help that? And so I started doing groups, because what I discovered about kids and adults is when they share their story, it changes everybody.
It does.
And so I did groups for girls, actually starting with body image. I was dieting at the time, and I was really worried about the message I was sending to girls. And so it set me on this journey of understanding how I could be projecting, not liking my own body to the girls. And so I went on this journey of understanding that I wanted to help them. And so I started to teach myself more about what is body image,
Yeah.
and what is being positive about our body image. And I started doing workshops for girls on the body image work. And that's how the sexual harassment work came about. When the girls were sharing their stories about why they hated their bodies and why they hated the way they looked, it didn't matter what girls looked like. They all
Right.
hated themselves. And it was just so profound for me, like how can I help them change this? So I really began to do the groups, and when they listened to each other's stories, it helped them realize and reflect back to them that, well, why do we hate ourselves? And I started to educate them about the messages we get from television and from
So
the
true.
media, and from messages from adults, that adults don't like their own bodies. And so through this work, the girls started to transform how they felt, and realized that a lot of it was coming from the pressure from outside.
Yeah.
And then the girls started to open up about things that were happening at school, being harassed by boys, being harassed by girls, being harassed in general, not feeling safe at school. So I started to do groups about, I actually worked with a group of girls that were sexually abused.
Wow.
And this all came about through my workshops. And they became so empowered because, number one, they realized they weren't alone.
Yes.
And they were able to share their story with each other. And eventually,
it was a comfort at some level.
it's a comfort.
Yeah.
And they realized this does not have to define my life.
No.
And so it was a transformation, because I put them as leaders in the sexual harassment workshops. I said, you're going to lead the girls and help them talk about themselves and what happens at school, and tell each other your stories.
Yeah.
And it transformed the culture at school in so many ways.
Yeah.
Girls started to help each other instead of be bullies to each other. It was an incredible thing to witness, really. And I was there for 8 years.
Wow. I mean, you said this so beautifully, Cathy.
Thank you.
But what you did was a revolution in itself.
Yeah.
It's very hard for women, and especially little girls, to talk about something so personal, which is sexual
Yes.
harassment.
Yes.
I was molested from the age of 8 to 12.
Oh.
And it's very hard because a lot of people don't know about this part of my life.
Yes.
And it's hard to even open up today.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's going to be hard forever to talk about it and
Yes.
go through that trauma all over again.
Yeah.
And it's never easy.
No.
But if you have people like you who can speak openly, allow them to be open-minded,
Yeah.
allow them to focus on what's there for future,
Yes.
and become what they can become,
Yes.
forgetting that trauma, there's nothing like it in this
Yes.
world. So
Wow.
thank you for what you did. It's very powerful.
I really appreciate you saying that, and thank you for sharing about your story, because you're very brave.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to share our traumas. I had some terrible things happen when I was young too. And this is really what motivated me to help children feel safe.
Yes.
And it's emotional because it's prevalent.
Yeah.
It happens to so many
It
young
does.
girls and boys. And as a society, as a world, we have to change things.
We
and
have
so
to.
that's why I've been motivated to be in education and try to make a difference, really.
You have, definitely you have. Was there any specific moment in your career where you felt just being in the school or just being in the education system was not enough? What made you take that leap of faith to do something beyond? And I know we already discussed that a little bit, but
Yeah.
was there anything that
Yeah.
that you felt at that moment that you needed to empower in a different way?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. Honestly, I have always been passionate about being an educator. And working with kids to me is a privilege. And it's an honor. And it's something that we have to be above and a really good role model and show kids what a healthy, happy, safer lifestyle
Yes.
is. So I considered it a privilege, really. And so what motivated me is I was very fortunate. I found a grant in Seattle Public Schools to help girls understand the opportunities for their future. High wage, high demand careers, but also have a group of young girls that could meet together with their teacher and do it in an environment where they're feeling safer.
Yeah.
Because when girls and boys are in mixed groups, girls do not raise their hands.
No.
They're not willing to participate. Boys are in a very different place, especially with technology. They have had
They
the
are.
opportunity to explore technology and be supported and welcomed. Girls have not had that experience.
No.
So in order to give girls a good beginning, they need a place where it's just girls.
Yes.
And they get to explore this world of STEM, but also be together.
Yes.
Because we don't want one girl in a class. It's not safe.
No.
We want them to go with their friends and join it together.
Yes. And I felt so powerful when I hear stories of resilience and courage and, just women holding each other accountable for their actions and moving forward in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'm also doing so much work with Women in Cloud lately.
Wow.
And it's such a powerful community that we are united. We are like the sisterhood that never existed.
Yes.
Anybody who's watching us today, I want to say Ignite Worldwide has done such incredible work. And I want this message to reach out to so many more educators that we need more power to bring Ignite program to every single school across America and
Yes.
beyond. Cathy, I wrote a quote which is, "The future is female, but only if we continue to break down the barriers that hold us back."
Yes.
You transitioned from a public school counselor to starting something and building something all by yourself
Yes.
and founding this nonprofit, Ignite. Was there any moment in your time where you felt uncomfortable, where you felt doubt, where you felt you will not be able to do this?
Wow, that's a wonderful question, because anytime any of us take a big risk, leaving my job at Seattle Schools, I was there for 18 years. It's leaving a pension and a
Yes.
steady salary. But however, I had been doing Ignite for all those 18 years, and we had thousands of volunteers already. I did run the program single-handedly for all that time,
Yeah.
and had other jobs in the district that I had to do as well. But when you're doing something you love and something that you're born to do, there's nothing that can stop you.
No.
And I had plenty of obstacles. Maybe people who people sometimes can be difficult, and there are some big obstacles to overcome, and I had those. And I had moments, because we all do. We have moments where we think, well, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I won't be able to do it. But those are fleeting.
Yes.
We don't want to give those any energy. We want to give the energy in our lives to what we know is right for ourselves,
I agree.
and we know we can do. And so I just stuck with that, and I had the good fortune of having thousands of incredible women who were volunteering and supported me in so many different ways, which is why I feel so passionate about the women and the men who volunteer and support Ignite, because they do it with all their hearts.
I love that because, the more I am on social media these days, Cathy, I see both versions of powerful women and women who put us down. As much as I'm sad to talk about it, it is the reality.
Yeah.
I saw a social media influencer who posed herself in a bikini, and she has a curvy body. And she showed on social media the amount of comments that came to her. Why are you showing this curvy body? You have
Yes.
abs everywhere from the wrong side.
Yes.
And she said, if a woman is dressed up, a lean woman is dressed up in a bikini, she is the perfect candidate to go on the beach.
Yes.
But if we, as me, who is a curvy body, goes on the beach and shows up in a bikini,
Yes.
I get rude comments. I feel like there are narcissists who are
Yes.
targeting me. There
Yes.
are women who are targeting her the most.
Yes.
So there is this
Yes.
side of the story that
That's
we
so
hear
true.
from other women.
Yes.
At the same side, on the other side,
Yeah.
we see these incredible stories. And I want to tell every woman that this is the side we all need to choose.
Yes.
Is the positive side.
Yeah.
We all need to lift each other up. We need to
That's
pick
right.
us from where we are and lift each other
That's right.
and belong. As women, who else can understand
Yeah.
you as is the other woman?
It's so true. I love that you brought that up, because we all have different shapes and sizes. And I had a journey early on as a young teenager where I dieted all the time, and I took diet pills. It was very much a
Wow.
part of the culture when I was
Yeah.
growing up. And because of that, I have a bigger body. And that's who I am. I mean, I have a trainer, I work out, I take care of my body. But because I live in the world with a bigger body, there's a lot of judgment.
Yes.
And so I think what we now need to do is embrace ourselves at our size, love ourselves at who we are. And because, these industries make billions of dollars
They do.
to convince us that we are not good enough. And that is not okay.
That is not okay.
And we don't want the next generation of girls to be taking this in and watching ourselves. They watch everything we do.
They do.
And if we are giving them the message that we're unhappy with our bodies, they're going to be unhappy too. And we're going to continue this forever, ever, and ever.
Can you take us to a moment when you felt Ignite was having some challenges? And I'm sure as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we all go through challenges. But
Yes.
there's a lot of people listening to you today.
Yeah.
And it's very important for them to hear this, because challenges are part of your journey.
Yes.
They are a roadmap. They are a roadmap towards your success.
Yes, absolutely.
So can you share a bit more about that?
Sure. I appreciate you asking. The truth about having a business or a nonprofit, it's very similar. And you have challenges in life no matter what you choose. But if you really believe in what you're doing, I don't think anybody has a business just to make money.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever really about that. Of course, we all have to pay our
Thank
bills.
you for saying that.
It's true.
Yes.
We all have to pay our bills, and that's a part of life. And so if you stay true to your vision and really believe that you may face some hard times, but really, I'm in my 26th year of Ignite.
So amazing.
With all the challenges that we have faced, it's because myself and everybody else who works in Ignite, really loves their work and really loves, we've created a family, really. And we support each other and we care about the work we do. And so it's going to thrive.
It will.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It
It's-
already is.
And
Yeah.
it's the impact, right?
Yeah. Yes.
One person gets impacted,
Yeah.
the second does, and so does the 100 and does millions.
Absolutely. It's really true. Our goal is millions of girls.
And you're cloning that.
Yes.
You don't have to clone people here, right? The whole program is cloned to success because it's
Yes.
empowering people in a different way, in a
Yes.
positive way.
Yes. The essence of Ignite really is the women telling their story to the girls so that the girls realize, wait a second, these women went through the same challenges that I'm facing now and they didn't give up. They didn't give up on themselves. No matter what they went through, and we train our volunteers to tell their authentic story
Yes.
so the girls can see, because the most important thing is that you never give up on your dream.
No, I love that. That is so important to hear because
Yes.
hard work does pay off.
It really does.
If you hear so many stories of even celebrities,
Yes.
right? Stories of Oprah Winfrey, story of any men or women across the world.
Yes.
They are very empowering. I mean, even listening to Obama and Michelle, right? Their
Oh,
struggles
yes.
of life,
Yes.
where they are today.
Yeah. I loved her book. I listened to
Yes.
her do her own book.
Yeah.
Becoming. It's an incredible story.
How have personal experiences with gender bias influenced the strategies you have implemented at Ignite?
Yes, that's a great question. I think as women, we all have obstacles in the world. We're often underestimated. And that's a pretty typical experience for women, is that they're underestimated. Or so, in my life, I believe that I really just stayed true to myself. I think that's the most important thing a person can do.
Yes.
And by staying true to myself, I never worried about anything else really, other than I knew I was in my right place. And that's what's important about, everybody brings gifts to the world.
Yes.
Everybody has unique talent and gifts.
So true.
And it's the journey of finding it. And that's the real journey of life.
Oh my gosh, I love that, Cathy. I'm so glad you said that because I have said that so many times to schools that I go to
Yes.
teach the kids.
Yes.
And I said, you all are born with gifts.
Yes.
Some people will find at the age of 2, and some people will find at 5, and there are some people like me who find at 40.
Yes.
So it is your journey,
Yes.
and just trust the process.
Yes.
You will find yourself.
That's a beautiful thing you just said.
So true. And I want to end this segment by saying confidence isn't just taught, it's ignited with every girl who realizes her potential.
Yes. That's beautiful.
Cathy, is there a particular story from Ignite or from a girl or a woman in your life that you feel is one of the biggest success stories, or maybe it began right there?
Yeah. I have been an educator for about 40 years. Longer, actually. And so I have so many stories of success, of young students going on to living a happier life. To me, that's successful.
Yeah.
So, because what is success? Success is helping children, young people, minors who I work with as an educator, to go on to discover who they are. And so I would point to the stories more recently of our current class of students who, I watched through 4 years of high school. There's one young woman whose name is Jeanette. I've known her since 9th grade. She's graduated high school. She's gone on to the computer science program at college. There's so many stories of of watching these young women go on to careers that they love. One young woman is, she's discovered she wants to work in accessibility at Microsoft. And now, because of Ignite, we're able to introduce her to all these wonderful people who are bringing her in, and she will get there. I mean, that's the thing, like, because we all support each other and nurture these young women, as they go through the program and they graduate, they have a whole, thousands of women in Ignite who want to support them to get where they want to go.
Yeah.
So there's so many stories, and I can name so many names. And the truth is, the one thing I didn't see, that I didn't see when I started Ignite, that's been really important to me. Not only do the young girls it changes their perception of what's possible in their life, but for the women who volunteer in Ignite, it changes them just as much.
It does. And I have volunteered for Ignite, and I can say that
That's wonderful.
by all my heart that it is so impactful.
Wow.
I did a session about how to handle and face your fears.
Wow.
And I know the girls said that was their favorite topic that day because a lot of
Yes.
people, and I am non-STEM background.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter
doesn't
whether you are
matter.
in STEM or you're not in
It
STEM.
doesn't matter at all.
These girls need empowerment at different levels of their life.
Yes.
And while they are learning this, it is so wonderful for them to learn something on how to handle fears,
Yes.
how to know elevator pitch
Yes.
at that young age. I wish there was
Yes.
somebody who came to my school those days
Yes.
and could have taught me all of this, what I was teaching them.
Yes.
Like-
How did that make you feel?
So empowering.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, social media has changed the world. As you reflect on your journey,
Yeah.
what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Thank you. That's quite a big question. I hope, honestly, that my legacy is that we all bring love to the world, and that Ignite stands for empowering, especially young women and gender diverse students, to believe in themselves, because frankly, boys already feel welcome. I mean, even though every child goes through insecurities, boys have a place anywhere they want to go, typically.
Yes.
And girls don't feel that way. And so we need to do an intervention while young women are young to show them that they don't have to put barriers in their own way. Because that's really the issue, is girls doing that for themselves, is they're putting the barrier there because of all the messages they've gotten that maybe they can't do this or that or whatever it is. So I hope Ignite is that legacy, that they get the support they need at school, and that parents support them to, love themselves. Because that's what it all comes down to. If a girl has
does.
confidence, she will be kind.
Yeah. I mean, they say, right? Confidence is something that you wear every day
Yes.
instead of makeup.
Yes, that's true.
If you look at some people on social media or not, but when you look at them and you're walking even in streets, there's a different level of confidence on their face.
Yeah.
And I notice people quite a lot
Yeah.
because it helps me become a better person.
Yeah.
I see some women walking on the road, and a lot of times I'll just stop them and ask them what they do. And we are surprised, but people are open-minded to talk to you about it.
Yes.
And that really empowers me because it gives me
Yes.
more confidence.
Yes.
That-
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, because you're genuinely interested in people.
I am.
Yeah. And
I
that's a
just
beautiful
love
gift.
to hear more and more stories.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no matter how big this world is, I feel we still need so much more stories.
We
and,
do.
I do some speaking sessions, and one of my favorite topic is the power of storytelling and leadership.
Yes.
And
It's
as
so
many
true.
times I've spoken about it, people have loved listening to me because I
Yes.
believe in the power of storytelling. I believe
Yes.
that leaders don't use that as much as they should.
Yes.
And why are some events so impactful and some so boring?
That's right. It's because they're not telling stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read this last question for segment 3
Yeah.
because I think it's very important. Ignite Worldwide has been recognized on so many national platforms.
Yeah.
But what's the next frontier for Worldwide? And how do you see yourself continue to disrupt societal norms?
Yes. Well, thank you for that question. Ignite Worldwide is now beginning to go into the tribal schools, and tribal schools meaning Native American students, particularly Native American girls. We want to create a template so we can do this across the nation. And this is a very big initiative for us, as well as our strategic plan is to be in 20 new cities. And really, we need to get this funded.
Yes.
Because why are we waiting as a nation? Why are we waiting to have this kind of a program at school so that girls, if 50% of a population is left out of STEM, how will USA compete in the world?
Yeah.
So it's really, it's a national issue. It's a crisis in our country that goes unrecognized. Because if you don't go to the root of the issue and get to the littlest girls, starting from the time they're in elementary school all the way through high school graduation, and if you don't impact them then, you miss the boat.
You did.
And that's 50% of the population, and especially for young women of color.
Yes.
We must have Ignite Worldwide in the schools. And I'm appealing to anybody who hears this today. If you're interested in helping fund this strategic plan, you can pick a city. You can pick any city you want.
Yeah.
Because if we're not in that city, we should be. The schools need us and they want us there, because I'll tell you, the schools know that girls aren't in the classes they need to be to pursue STEM. And if they're not in those classes, then we have a national crisis on our hands.
Yeah.
And we need to recognize it.
So true. I mean, let's talk a little more about the ratio, because you have been doing this for so long.
Yes.
What is right now the ratio in middle schools when these volunteers or people from Ignite walk into those classrooms? What is the ratio of girls versus boys?
Thank you for asking. Before Ignite is at a school, there's less than 5% female enrollment in any STEM class.
Wow.
After Ignite starts at a school, we go to 50% female enrollment or better. So that's all of the awards that we won while we were in Seattle schools: the Presidential Award, the Anita Borg Social Impact Award, the National Programs and Practices that Work, the top award for our nation in gender equity, the top award from the Department of Education. The reason we win these awards is because we changed the statistics on how many girls are signing up for these classes.
Right.
And so we know the program works because we've been doing this for so long. Now we need people to step up and fund it and solve the problem. And where is the concern for not having girls represented in these STEM classes? The issue is that boys take up 95% of the seats in these classes. So boys they run the robotics programs, and rarely do they let the girls touch the robot.
Wow.
So the boys are already filling these classes.
There's already a boys'
all the
club
seats.
there. There's already a boys' club there.
The boys' club is the all of the classes. All the seats in the classes are the boys. All the robotics teams are the boys. Everything is already the boys. So I don't really know what the need is there, because they feel they belong. They know they belong. There isn't ever a question in their mind that they belong. That's the issue. Girls do not feel welcome in these classes. There's no girls in there, and if there are, maybe there's one or two, and the girls don't feel comfortable. That's why we need Ignite is an intervention. But here in this country, high wage, high demand is STEM. And so that's why the focus is on STEM.
Yeah.
And if a young woman goes into this field, she will be able to be independent and make her own decisions. But more importantly, our country needs these young women.
We do.
If we leave out 50% of the population, that's why I don't know why isn't this a current conversation?
Yes.
Why isn't this important enough?
I agree. And I'm so happy we spoke about it. I almost have goosebumps talking to you and ending segment 3 on such a powerful note.
Yeah.
Cathy, that was so impactful.
Thank you.
Cathy, we all have the power to rewrite our story.
Yeah.
And one that specifically defies stereotypes. For me, this is coming to an end towards our show.
Yes.
And I had so much fun talking to you.
So did I.
Not only fun, but I think I'm inspired, impacted, and ready to do a lot more work. But this is a fun segment. It's
Yeah.
going to be a rapid fire round.
Sure.
Quick and easy. So are you ready for that?
Sure.
Okay. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Yes, the best piece of advice I've ever received is to follow your heart.
It's very close to my heart, so I love that. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
One book everyone should read.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yay! I love that. That was my first book that I fell in love with.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
I actually am an artist, and I paint.
Ooh.
I make earrings, I paint, I do glass art, I'm a mosaic artist.
Oh my gosh.
So
We're
at
going to
night
talk
I-
after
I-
this
I-
about that.
At night I do art, and it's my meditation.
We learned something new about Cathy, and I love that. The last question. What's one thing people would be surprised to know about you, and they don't know it yet?
Well, I'm a wonderful gardener. And I have flowers, so many flowers in my house right now. I have about 40 different dahlias, 25 rose bushes.
Wow.
I have flowers everywhere. I live in a Garden of Eden, frankly. I'm very fortunate to have a beautiful home with my partner. And I don't know if people know that about me.
That's incredible. We learned something absolutely amazing about you, Cathy. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you.
It was so inspirational, and I don't have enough words to say how our conversation was. I wish you all the best, and
Thank you,
we
Naya.
hope to see that vision of yours come to life, that Ignite one day will be in every single school.
Thank you for that, Naya. And thank you so much for inviting me today. It meant a lot to me.
Absolutely. Same here. Cathy, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today. Your passion, commitment, and the impact you have made through Ignite is truly world recognizable. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and I know our listeners will take away so much from your story. Thank you for all the work you do in empowering the next generation of girls and women, and for being such a powerful voice in the world of STEM community. We are excited to see what the future holds for you and Ignite Worldwide. Please don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe, and go to www.womeninthemaking.com for any updates and a spicy newsletter.